both political parties in Arizona need to wake up. And I say the major parties. I mean no disrespect to the libertarians or the Green parties, but the two major parties, Republicans and Democrats. The number one voter demographic in Maricopa County, and it's been this way for about a year now, it has been independent voters. Independents are number one, then Republicans, then Democrats. Statewide, it remained Republicans being the number one demographic. That's not the case anymore. Now the number one voter demographic in the state of Arizona is independent voters. People don't change their political opinions necessarily. They haven't changed their views. What they are not doing is getting involved in the party politics. I warned the Republican Party. I'm a Republican. My investment has been in the Republican Party when I was involved in party politics for a while. I haven't been for years. I remain a Republican voter. And I don't make any bones about that. That's where I find myself falling when it comes to platform with the Republican platform. I believe in smaller government, although that hasn't always been the case with Republicans recently. I'm talking about what the belief system is. The Republican Party, I've been saying for years, needs to wake up. And they need to understand that there has been a very big disconnect between Republican leadership within the party and the voters that vote Republican and register Republicans. And the same for the Democrats. And they just won't. They haven't. When you look at the disparity, you've got, listen, and you know, it isn't just Republicans, but for Democrats. Everybody talks about Arizona becoming a more purple state. The lowest, you've got, first of all, it's independents, then it's Republicans, then it's Democrats in registration. Democrats, you know, although they have been doing a very good job, and you have to give them credit, what they've done, when I moved here in 1995, and especially when I began to get more involved politically, Republicans had a stranglehold on the legislature, and with the exception of Janet Napolitano being elected to 2 terms as governor, even then she dealt with a very heavy Republican majority in the legislature, in the House and the Senate. We've seen that dwindle to just a 1-seat majority for the Republicans in the House and the Senate, and we have a Democrat governor, and we have a Democrat Secretary of State. And when you look at these things, and a Democrat Attorney General, when you look at all of these offices that are being held, the Democrats, even though they are the lowest in voter registration as far as the major demographics of voters, they're third, they're winning races. So from my perspective, I look at this, and I've been talking about leadership within the party, and I mean no disrespect to anyone. There's many of them that I have great respect for. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk with the Republican chairman of the Arizona GOP, the AZ GOP chairman, Jeff DeWitt, tomorrow morning. We're going to have him on the show to talk about a story that says, you know, the Arizona Republican Party is broke. And why are they broke? And not blaming him. They're talking about money that was spent on lawsuits, and we're going to ask him about this, but I'm also going to talk to him about demographics. If you're a candidate for office, here, I'm going to you probably know this, but I'm going to explain to you because I've been involved in the process even though I'm not in the party anymore. What I mean by that is I'm not a PC or a precinct committeeman. I don't have voting rights within the Republican Party. I walked away from that years ago. But I've moderated debates. I have been involved in forums. I continue to speak to groups. And for the most part, people are terrific to be around. They truly are. Once a year or so, I speak to a group in Mesa, the Mesa Republican Women's. The Arizona Federation of Republican Women's invite me to speak once in a while. Different clubs have asked me to speak to them. And by and large, these are terrific people, motivated, helpful people in the community, well invested, well involved, well informed. But you look at a lot of people that have been in leadership in the party, and they are so disconnected from the voters in that party. I'll give you an example going back years. I've used it many times. John McCain, when he was alive, when Senator McCain was alive, he was winning primary elections. That's just the party. He was winning primary elections by double digits. Every opponent that came up against him got defeated. The party couldn't stand him. The Maricopa County Republican Party censured John McCain, which is just a letter saying we don't like you. The Democrats did it to Kyrsten Sinema. It has no effect on them doing their job. It means nothing other than we publicly state we don't like you. So while Republican voters were overwhelmingly voting for John McCain, Republican leadership hated him, couldn't stand him. Whenever I've said nice things on the air about Senator McCain, and Senator McCain and I disagreed on a number of things, which is what I admired most about him. He didn't owe me anything. This was a guy that was a fixture in American politics, and he treated me like a colleague, not just on the air, off the air. We would debate topics, and I would ask him questions about why he felt this way or why he voted this way. Why are you in support of this? I didn't like this or that. And he would talk to me as if I knew what I was talking about. He never backed away from a debate. He would do legitimate town halls and take questions from people that disagreed with him. He just was that kind of a debate guy. And I admired John McCain when he was alive. The party couldn't stand him. And anytime I would come on the air and say nice things about John McCain, or I would have him on the air, have him in studio, and we would talk, I would inevitably get messages from Republican voters that said what a horrible person he is, and he was never a hero. And I thought, man, for the party that's supposed to support veterans, to say someone that spent all of those years as a POW in the Hanoi Hilton and then say he's not a hero goes against everything we believe in. But that's leadership being different than the voters. And this is where I think this independent voter registration is something that every Republican and Democrat better wrap their arms around. Because people that, like myself, that say, listen, I believe this, and I'm more of a Puritan than a Pilgrim, if you know the difference. I'd rather stay and have the conversation with people that I disagree with on things in the party and help come to an agreement how it can be a bigger tent party than be a Pilgrim and leave and go register as an independent. I'm not at that point. But I understand the people that are. They haven't disavowed their beliefs. They haven't disavowed their principles when it comes to voting, but they've decided I'm not going to be handed a golden ticket, which is a slate that tells me everybody I'm supposed to vote for. And if I step out of line and say, I don't want to vote for that person, then all of a sudden I'm ostracized and I'm not a team player. And the parties have gotten so used to that. Sit in your own little room where everybody thinks the same way, and you pass out a piece of paper that says this is who we're voting for, and if one person raises their hand and say, I don't like that idea, you're out. The thing is that you either have to be willing to stay and fight or you just walk away. And most people, and I don't blame them, people are busy. They have complicated lives. They've got enough problems of their own. They're not going to sit in a room full of strangers and argue politics. I'm here because I agree with you in principle, but I don't agree on that. Well, you're going to call me names? See ya. I'll vote the way I vote, but I want nothing to do with your party. Churches deal with it. Congregations deal with it. And now you've got political parties dealing with it. And independent voters are telling a significant story. And if the first political party in the state of Arizona that wakes up and hears them talking is going to be a winner.